Hey everyone, welcome to my show, My So-Called Fabulous. Welcome everyone. It is so great to talk to you, and you're watching me on YouTube, aren't you? We've made the big leap and we're on YouTube. So everyone listen and follow along. And you know what? It's the week of Thanksgiving 2022. And many of you, I've asked you what you want to talk about. And many of you have direct messaged me that you want to talk about your family during the holidays and how to cope. So what I'm doing, I have brought my friend. Oh my gosh, I love this woman. You know her, Staci Danford, neuroscientist, and my friend. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be back.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
It feels like it's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Let me tell you how long it's been. We're on episode number 142 or 3. 142 or 3.
Wow.
You were on 37, number 45, 46, 47, and 48. I got her in there for a long time. It was about 4 hours in the studio.
100 episodes ago, I was here.
100 episodes. That's right. So we are celebrating that she's back on the show with me. And I actually sent her a text this weekend. I said, hey, girl, I know it's last minute. She said yes. She said yes to Tiffy. So thank you so much for being here.
You're so welcome.
Well, y'all, she has taught me so much. You have listened to her. She has her own podcast now, A Mental Makeover. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, do you wonder sometimes, like, why the hell did I do that?
Yes. And it was a long time coming. I kind of wanted to do it for a long time. And now I see why a lot of people stop doing it because it's a lot more work than it appears on the outside.
It is. It's a lot of work. It's expensive. It takes a lot of time,
yes,
a lot of energy. And at 57, I'm kind of fading a little bit with my energy. But I mean, congratulations. But Staci, you are the most unique neuroscientist I've ever met in my life. And I met one the other day. Boring.
They mostly are. And boring. I hate to say that about them, but they tend to be stuffy and kind of, not all, but full of themselves and kind of so in their head, they forget to be real. Mm-hmm. And I always say that my goal is to make neuroscience accessible to the world because I truly believe it's the missing piece of our happiness in our life. Mm-hmm. And I think all my years as a teacher, 25 years,
yes,
it made me a better scientist because I can make information accessible. Now, it kind of feels like I was still teaching.
You have so much information. I want you to go back to episode number 37. I explain exactly who Staci is, what she does. Hey, I'm looking at this too. You have a book, Find One Good Thing.
It just came out this week.
Was it this week?
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's a gratitude journal based on science. And it's what my whole research study was about. And when gratitude first came out, it was, people would tell you to make a list of 20 things and 50 things and 100 things. And in the beginning, that does work okay. But, on day 7, when you're trying to think of 20 things and you begin to dread it, it becomes dreadful. And so those chemicals and those connections are working in your mind. And that's why so many people feel like gratitude doesn't work and they're not doing it to the extent that it activates their brain. So that's what my research is, find one good thing. But then in the book, I teach you how to savor that one good thing. It only takes 30 seconds and activate your brain. It'll change your life.
I mean, girl, you've changed my life for sure. I mean, there's some things like she told me that Kennedy and I couldn't be best friends. I was devastated. I still say it all the time. She's my best friend. She's like, no, she's not.
No, she's not. She's your daughter, then your friend.
Yeah. Get up, stay in your lane, Mom. So I do. I just appreciate you so much. So people talking about the holidays because it's Thanksgiving week, yes, getting prepared for Christmas, for Hanukkah, all of the holidays, and bringing over family and friends. My producer, Wyman, and I were talking about we invite everyone, friends and family, both. Let's talk about how this stress that's going on, because I'm very traditional and you've changed me. Why did she change me? She told me a couple of years ago that you don't have to celebrate holidays on the holiday. Right. And I'm like, the hell you say? Because my mother, God bless her soul, that was a big thing. And with families growing and divorce and, you said your kids get married.
It makes it impossible nearly.
It makes it impossible. So we are having Thanksgiving Friday.
Yay! We're doing it Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yes.
See, I mean, and it's fine because I didn't want people driving back and trying to make this meal, that meal, this meal. So it works, right?
It does work. And for me, it's, slightly selfish, I would say. But when I was a kid and my parents got a divorce, and I remember trying to go to mom's house, trying to go to dad's house, trying to go to in-laws' house, and we would do 3 things in one day, but we never stayed longer than a couple of hours at any of the places. So if you offer to do it on a different day, you get not only the whole day. For me, I get all 3 of my kids in the same room at once, which very rarely happens. So my daughter will be here from Florida on Monday. We're going to celebrate on Tuesday. They're going to still be here on Wednesday, and they aren't going home until Thursday. So by giving up the day, I actually got 3 all to myself with my kids.
With your 3 children.
Yeah, all 3 of them.
And a new grandbaby. She's so cute. So cute. So why is it so difficult for me, for a lot of people, to shift the days?
I think a lot of it has to do with our brain wiring and the way we were taught is normal. And because we think something's normal, we think that's the good, and anything outside of good, therefore, must be bad. And a lot of moms, especially, make it mean something personal. Like if, they don't come to my house, they didn't want to see me, or they picked the in-laws instead of me. And especially if you have a son, anybody out there who has a son, your son goes where his wife says. And so by giving the wife the holiday, then she's happy to come on a different day. And it just works. I don't create friction between my son and his wife. And it just makes things so much easier. But it took a little training, as well for me. But my granny would always say the holidays, whatever day we're together. And not the one somebody else picked for you. And when I was a kid, I never really knew what that meant. But so many people take it personal if it's not on the day. They also feel like if it's not that day, then, tomorrow's not Thanksgiving or Friday's not Thanksgiving. But really, it's the celebration. And that can be any day we choose it to be.
Absolutely. And let's just go ahead and peel back the onion a little more, Staci. Staci doesn't like turkey.
No, I do not like turkey. It's so gross, picking all that stuff out of its butt. I'm like, oh, why did they put that in there? Like, get it out to bring to me. It's just gross. It takes long. It has legs. No, absolute no, I'm not cooking that.
Not doing it.
No, and I feel like it looks at me like, hey, I used to be a lot. No.
It really does. It really does. Now, I love cooking Thanksgiving, and I actually cook Thanksgiving dinner throughout the year because I love making the dressing and the turkey and everything. And finally, one year, I'm like, we're throwing the carcass away with most of the meat. Why don't we just cook a turkey breast, So that was a change for me because my mother, which is deceased, she probably did roll over. I mean,
my mom is very traditional too. And she and I clash a lot because mom likes it old school. She likes it by the book. And I think I've always just kind of been a rebel by nature, and it just never fit for me. And I just had to make peace with, am I doing this because everybody said I'm supposed to, or is this really what I want for myself? Well, I really don't want turkey. And thank goodness none of my kids really care either because they're already getting it at the other houses. So we always have Mexican food for Thanksgiving. And it's hands down. If you ask me to pick cranberries or guacamole, I'm going guacamole all day long. All day long. We wear sweatpants. We stay up all night and play games. And I never want to be the person that makes my kids feel stressed to come to my house because I have the pleasure of having grown children and a 14-year-old. And so I've done this once already. And I realize when it's stressful, they don't want to come. And my goal is for my kids to want to come to my house. And I was ruining it for them. I was ruining it for me. I was ruining it for everybody because I was so stressed out trying to pick stuff out of a turkey's butt, and I messed it up. I burned it, or it was raw, and I was griping at my husband. He was like, "I didn't even do anything." Yeah, it was miserable.
I mean, and it's true, and this resonated with me this summer when my brother called me. We were having a gathering at the house, and which I love to entertain, and He said, what do we wear? And I went, just wear shorts and t-shirt, whatever. And he went, really? To your house? And I was like, well, yeah. And he's like, well, okay. It hit me that I have a dress code in my head, and I have the way they should behave. And I don't want to be that person anymore. Yeah. I don't want to be that person. So I don't care what you wear. I really don't. Well, I kind of do, but don't lie now.
Well, we do one day where we all dress up, and we call it the Christmas costume. And every year my kids are like, oh my gosh, what's mom buying this year for our costume? And sometimes it's cute and sometimes it's crazy. And this year it's going to be the Grinch. And I got my new little grandbaby a little green fur onesie. It is going to be so cute. And all the boys are wearing black shorts and giant green socks. And I mean,
there you go.
But that's how we take our picture every year. And I can always tell the passing of time by what Christmas costume we had. But the kids have asked, like, what do we need to bring and what do we need to do? And my little daughter-in-law, bless her heart, is precious and wonderful, but she's a planner. And she likes to know the game plan. And she always tells me, I would love to go with the flow, but what time does the flow start?
Exactly. Yes.
And so I tell her, it starts at 12. And anything you want to bring is fine. But if you bring nothing, that's fine also. But she's learned that it always has kind of worked out. And we eat whatever happens to be there. And
yeah. It does.
It just works out.
Well, let me take this another level for you. So Greg and I'll go to lunch by ourselves. That's unique on Thanksgiving. And then my sister's coming in, and we'll have turkey sandwiches that night because, of course, I have to make a turkey. But the next day we're having Mexican.
Yay!
Because that's what Staci Danford does. We're having full Mexican. Everybody's so excited.
Yes, because that's a lot of people, especially here in Texas. That's a lot. That's my favorite food. I could eat Mexican food any day of the week. Chips and salsa is my weakness.
Yes.
And I always say, when you bury me, put me in a red tutu, cowboy boots, and so much turquoise that it raises me up out of the coffin. But please leave me a package of chips and guacamole. So when I get to heaven, I'm going to be ready to celebrate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those of the people that are listening that have sons, that resonated with me. I don't have a son, but you're right. That is tough because the wife or the significant other typically makes the plans.
Yes.
So instead of being the mother-in-law from Hades, how do you teach someone to do that?
I learned that from a very wise mentor who used to be a friend of mine when we taught school together. And she was probably 25, 30 years older than me, but she taught me a long time ago, Staci, you better love every girlfriend that ever comes here because one of them might be your daughter-in-law. And if she remembers you didn't like her, she'll never forget it.
Oh, my
And
gosh.
I have never, ever, ever forgotten that. And I treated them all as if they were special. And then, goodness, I got the greatest one of all time. I could not have handmade her any better. She's absolutely precious. But I remember the friction that it used to cause between me and my big kid's dad. Because I wanted to go to my mom's house and his mother would fight for the day. And it became a, who do you like best? Where do you go thing? And I remember vividly thinking, I do not ever want to make my son feel like he has to pick between me and wherever she wants to go. So I always let them pick first, and then I take the other day. And I don't feel like it's the leftovers. I feel like I said, I get the actually benefit of having multiple days of them together because I didn't make them pick. But, we want our sons to grow up. I have 2 sons. I want them to grow up and be on their own. And I want them to have a wonderful marriage. And God forbid I be the one that creates the wedge between them. I don't ever want to be that. And it's hard if you have sons because you have to realize I'm no longer the most important girl in your life. And especially my son, because his mother-in-law lives right down the road from them. She keeps my grandbaby. She taught next door to him. She sees him every single day. She truthfully knows more about him than I do now. She's involved in his every single aspect of life. My grandbaby knows her way better than me, goes running to her. She doesn't come running to me. But I have chosen not to take that personal.
Wow.
And in the beginning, I'll tell you, it was hard because I felt jealous and I felt like I wasn't good enough. Like, oh, I should be keeping the baby. Oh, I should be doing this. Well, I live 2.5 hours away. That would be silly. And I just had to look at neuroscience because I always look at what is your brain doing when this happens. Well, my brain was following an old pattern of you're not good enough. They picked someone else over you. It went all the way back to junior high when my boyfriend broke up with me and started going out with my best friend. It was the same feeling of you picked them over me. And I had to go, you know what? How wonderful my son has a mother-in-law who adores him. How wonderful that my grandbaby doesn't have to go to daycare. She gets 24/7 attention from a caregiving family member. How wonderful that they have such a great relationship. And I call it the secret of neuroscience is looking at what you have instead of what you don't, because your brain will naturally look at what's wrong. Our brains are wired to do that. There's nothing wrong with you. That's the way everybody's brain works. And it'll stay in that pattern unless you force it to go somewhere else.
Now, you had these feelings when the baby was born. How long did it take you to make the turn?
Probably just a week. But
Really?
let me say this.
Wow.
Because I've been working on my brain for 20 years.
Yes, you have.
Had I not done that, I probably would have spiraled out. I probably would have said something ugly to my son or my daughter-in-law. I probably would have been so resentful that I would have ruined a relationship that I treasure dearly with my daughter-in-law. And I'm so grateful. I always say I truly believe neuroscience is the missing piece, because had I not known my brain was doing that naturally, I would have felt like those are my real emotions. Those are my real feelings, instead of going, oh, of course it's trying to protect me. What is it protecting me from? Feeling slighted, feeling second best. Everybody's brain protects them from that feeling. It's an unwanted feeling that actually registers pain in your brain. And most people don't realize your brain registers physical pain or emotional pain in the same place. And so your brain doesn't know the difference really between a broken arm or a broken heart. And so when I recognize, oh yeah, this does feel like pain. Why does it feel like pain? Because I don't know my son as much as I used to.
Right.
And then I had to go, oh, I'm not supposed to. He's supposed to grow up. He's 33 years old.
Right.
How silly would that be if he was in my basement and, hey, Mom, my laundry's dirty. I mean, I don't want that for my life.
Right.
But yet my brain was telling me I did.
Yes, of course it did.
Yeah.
So I have a follower that this was her story that she shared. I do not know this woman, but she reached out and shared with me that she's not going to Thanksgiving or Christmas with her husband because she doesn't like her in-laws. They don't like her. He will go and celebrate with his family, and she will go and celebrate with her family. How do they fix that?
I don't know that they should. I think once again, I say this all the time, we should all over ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we think we should do this. We should eat cranberries. We should like our in-laws. We should. Why?
Right.
Because if it truly hurts, and again, it registers like pain, and there is no way to correct it. I mean, you can't control someone else's feelings. If they don't like you, I mean, you're not going to Thanksgiving is not going to change their opinion, most likely. And we think if we be good enough, they'll like us. Or if we, bring a surprise or we make a pumpkin pie, they'll like us. No, they won't. Here's the secret. No, they won't. Because you cannot change someone else's opinion of you. That is on them and their brain. Their brain patterns are telling them what they like and what they don't like. So I suggest to all of my clients, you have to protect yourself and your emotions, but then you can't take it personally. You can't want it both ways, because that leaves you in a complete no-win situation. Because if you tell your brain, no, I'm not going there because that makes me sad, that I feel unworthy, your mom's rude to me. But then when your husband leaves and goes with his family, then you can't pout because he's not with you. You got to pick one or the other. And the problem is we think we can have it both ways, and we can't. So you have to let him go, but then you have to be okay with it. Wow. Go get a massage while he's gone, or,
Exactly.
Binge watch Netflix or create your own kind of celebrations.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you're saying is create your own kind of celebration, create your new traditions with your Christmas card like you've done.
Yeah.
You know, I've tried to do that, but I also realize that I cannot shove my traditional the way of entertaining or behaving down my family's throat, because what you said, I want them to be there. I want them to want to be there, and it's a learning curve. And again, knowing you and the neuroscience of the brain, you've changed me, girl.
Yay!
My daughter's still my best friend.
And I think too, when you have blended families, I think it makes it 10 times as hard. And for anybody out there who doesn't have a blended family, you just count your blessings, because it makes it a million times harder, because you've got multiple people, multiple families with different traditions, and you're trying to shove them all into one box just because somebody got married. Mm-hmm. And I think I talked about this when we did the podcast before, but we do not have blended holidays in our house, and people kind of get on to me about that all the time. They're like, I can't believe you do that. But for me, it made me miserable. And it's kind of like the lady that, chooses not to go with her husband. I had to realize what destroyed and what built my holiday. Trying to have all of our grown children in the same house ruined my holiday, because I was the go-between. I was the mediator, trying to make everybody feel comfortable, trying to cook all the foods everybody liked. And I did not get to enjoy my children. I didn't get to enjoy the one day that I get all 3 of my kids in the same room. And I hated it. When everybody left, I said that was the worst holiday I have ever had in all of my life. And my husband and I, God love him, we knew it wasn't personal for either one of our families. It wasn't that he didn't want to be around my kids or that I didn't want to be around his kids. He wanted to enjoy his kids, and he wanted to do their traditions. And I wanted to enjoy my kids and do my traditions. And so we just have separate holidays. And I mean, we go together, but when I'm with him and his kids, I do what they do. And when he's with us and my family, he does what we do. He wears crazy pajamas and he does, goofy games, and he eats Mexican food.
Yeah.
And when I go with his family, I eat turkey and pretend like I like cranberries.
So do you host your stepchildren at your home?
No.
Okay. So that's another choice too.
Yeah. Because I know I'm not cooking all that food they like. I'm just not. I mean, I suck at it and I hate it. So why would I do that to myself? When my husband's mother loves it, she is a very traditional person. She loves to do it. So for her, turkey doesn't activate stress and anxiety. It means fun and family comes over. So my husband's kids go to her house and we all go there and we have a great time.
It works.
Yes. And I think if people just step away from something's good and something's bad and just realize, is it moving you into more stress or is it taking away stress? And not look at good and bad and just go, okay, that stresses me out and destroys my holiday, or this makes me feel so relaxed and makes me have fun. And
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Maybe it is cranberries.
Maybe.
Who likes those?
Oh my gosh, they're so good. Stop it.
I eat 2 just so I can pretend. And I have to swallow them like a pill. I'm like, oh my gosh, God love whoever invented these.
Oh my stars. No. You just haven't had mine.
Maybe so.
Never mind.
I
mean, her face, y'all.
Yeah.
Watching on YouTube, her face.
The texture of them just grosses me out.
All right. Let me ask you this, because we all have it. When someone comes over, Uncle Johnny or whomever, it's not mine, but politics, religion, and sex. I had a follower. She said, you can't talk about this in my house. You're not allowed to talk about this. Well, you know how that would make me come across?
I know.
Not very nice. So how do you deal with that? Seriously. Now, your children aren't going to.
Yeah, obviously. But they do. And we have very opposite opinions.
Oh, no.
In my house. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. So this is firsthand information.
Firsthand for real stuff. And I know, because my sons are on two opposite ends of the spectrum. And my daughter and I are kind of in the middle. Some things we lean right, some things we lean left. So we're kind of the mediators. But I saw that it was creating resentment and animosity between my two sons because people are just attached to their opinions.
Sure.
And it left me feeling sad that my two sons were not agreeing. And it ended up hurting me way more than it did them. They didn't really care. So I made a rule, my house, my rules. And if you want to have Thanksgiving at your house, then I'll be there with my pajamas and we'll be ready to celebrate. But if it's in my house, we're not talking about that. And I have a jar, and everybody who does has to put $20 in the jar. And it pays for my Thanksgiving.
Guacamole.
Buys a lot of guacamole.
Okay, so that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it makes it a little more fun.
Sure.
Because they'll go, he's talking about the president. $20. And then sometimes at the end, we'll have a little game and we'll roll dice, or everybody will pick a number between 1 and 50, and then you win the pot and you get to take home all the money in the jar. So
yeah, I love that.
But make it fun instead of making it, Tiffany said we can't talk about politics, but we do politics and religion especially. And we're like, nope.
No. Sexual orientation. We don't talk about that.
All the stuff.
I know, but I know somebody's going to talk about it.
Yeah, but make them pay.
Bring your 20s, everyone.
Bring your 20s.
I'm not taking Venmo at all. So how can everyone listening to this, de-stress? Because y'all, today I'm checking email and Staci newsletter talked about, seriously, and you have to follow Staci. You got to follow Staci. But the Grateful Brain, the potential of one, the story of to inspire you, of course. But you talk about celebrating Thanksgiving November 22nd. Yes. I go towards the end. Action step. What is the action step?
Okay, because this is the important part. And the reason I love neuroscience is because action is the only thing that will alter brain function. Thinking is not going to alter the functionality of your brain, but action does, because we can learn anything we want to know in the world. I mean, Google and Siri, for goodness sakes, will tell us anything we want to know. But doing it, taking action, is what actually alters your brain function. So if you're stressed, you can't just sit and ruminate or sit and pout, and you got to do something to get out of this stressful state. So I suggested for everybody today, and in my newsletter, y'all, we've changed the newsletter. It's a 3-minute read max, and we always have one strategy and one action step. So today's action step was to write down 3 things that you want out of your holidays. Do you want to change the menu? Do you want everybody to wear green shoes? Do you want everybody to take a picture? Write down 3 things that you, the host, would really, really love out of your holiday. And then pick one and do it this year. And just learn that your holidays are yours. Mm-hmm. And if you want to enjoy them, you have to do the things that bring you joy instead of the things that stress you out and make you miserable.
Mm-hmm. Because I end up not having a good time.
Yes.
At all.
And you're the one doing all the work.
Yeah, for sure. And so I honestly I guess it would be let go of the perfection, just the perfection, like every weight that forks out of the line. I mean, it's serious. Yeah. It's some serious.
So
OCD.
What's one thing you would like for your holidays this year?
You know what? I've done 2 and didn't even see the action step, but it was to change the date.
Oh,
for sure. It was to change the date and to accommodate my family.
Yeah.
The number 2 was to not have the stress. I love cooking Thanksgiving, but it is so stressful.
Yeah.
It is such timing. And this year we're doing Mexican. It's going to be easy and simple, and I'm just going to let it go. Now, Greg would say, please let all that go and don't be a bitch.
I know.
Because I do. I end up fussy. I'm just I'm sorry, y'all, but I do. I'm holding everyone to a standard they can't reach it.
Right. And the stress is creating cortisol in your brain.
Yes.
Always go back to science. And it makes you fussy and grumpy and rude and yeah. And you're the one holding the poison. I always tell people that's what stress does. Yes, you stress people out, but really you're the holder of the stress and you're the one holding the poison for a holiday that you're supposed to enjoy.
You're supposed to enjoy. And I know I've said this in a podcast a few weeks ago with Brad Bevel, talking about how I set the tone. When during COVID, Kennedy moved home, and she was at TCU, moved home. And the day when Greg and Kennedy would come in the kitchen, my body language dictated everyone's mood that day. If I was just knew right if it was stressful. And so I had to rewire my brain to remember it's their day too.
Yeah.
I mean, each day I had to teach myself. And I don't know, Staci, is it maturity that you really do start thinking about that? But some people,
some people never do. I always say most people live their whole life tiptoeing quietly toward death. And they never live and they never think and they never contemplate what creates my joy or what steals my joy. And I really think, I always say I'm the most grateful person I know, but I live every single day focused on what can I do to create more joy for myself? Because my joy is my job. It's not my kid's job. It's not my husband's job. It's not the sunshine's job. It is my job to create my joy. And only I know how to do that.
Right.
And I mean, my gosh, I've gone through multiple husbands and multiple millions of dollars trying to buy joy and get joy. And the common denominator was me.
Right.
And I'm responsible for it.
You are. And I do believe that. So Staci walked in today, y'all. And I selected what I'm wearing. I'm wearing color sequins. I know you can see it here on YouTube, but and our friend Shop with Bonnie said, "Oh, gotta wear color with Staci." So I said, "Staci, I'm wearing color for you." And I've known you through color. If you look at your Instagram feed, color. And you know, what did she say to me because it stressed her out? What did you say?
Yes, I have gotten rid of all the color in my closet. And because it stressed me out every time I would go to get dressed because I couldn't get the pinks to match or I couldn't get the orange to match. And every time I put it on, I hated it. I love color. I have color in my house and I have color on my Instagram, but wearing it stressed me out. And I was like, oh my gosh, Staci, there you go again. You're either moving into stress or do things that move you out of stress. So I got rid, I didn't throw it away, but I put it all in 2 big buckets and I put it up in the attic in case I change my mind. But my closet right now is so easy for me.
Neutrals? Just neutrals?
It's all neutrals.
Shut up.
Yeah. And it all matches. And no matter what pants I pick, it goes with whatever shirt I pick. And it has literally saved me probably 30 minutes every single morning. And it also has saved me the piles in the floor where you try it on, throw it down, throw it down.
Yeah. You walked in today in the studio. I can't see very well, but I was like, who's that? I mean, she's wearing an adorable top, but it's neutral. I'm so neutral. I'm like,
so
where is she? This is the woman that was going to paint her car different colors.
Yeah, I might still paint my car. That doesn't stress me out. It's my clothes. It's just my clothes.
So see, everyone, you can change your brain. You can have
You just have to give yourself permission. And you have to be okay with, I cannot do it the way everybody says I'm supposed to, because that doesn't work for me.
So say you can do that with your family that's coming in this week or whenever you plan to celebrate, for sure. Now, I picked up Staci brought me this book, Love, her just published this week.
Published this week. It's time for Thanksgiving.
Just in time, but it's called Find One Good Thing. So I opened to the middle page and I'm going to read this before we end. We should certainly count our blessings, but we should also make our blessings count. And you heard it right there from me, everyone. We're going to link your book, of course. But thank you for being here and sharing this such incredible information that you always had. Are you so smart because you're a neuroscientist, or are you just...
I'm smart from trial and error. Trust me, I've screwed up 100 zillion times, and I learned a lesson each time, and
that's right.
Just kept on stepping.
Absolutely. So happy holidays to you and your family. How can we find you?
At thegratefulbrain.com or on Instagram at Staci Danford. Staci with an I.
And y'all, every week I look so forward to her emails with her newsletters and just so much incredible information that, I'm so thankful. My husband thanks you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My children thank you. Of course. Everyone, go over and rate and review this. Tell us what you want to hear. Good things like this, right? And follow along Staci and myself on all the platforms, of course. And we'll have the show notes, all this with the book and everything. And everyone have a wonderful holiday. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Count your blessings and make your blessings count. And you know what? Keep being fabulous.